Hola, hola. My name is Angelica, and I am happy to welcome you to this Final Mile Español para mí lesson. In this lesson, we build on what we learned in Spanish letters and sounds by introducing pronunciation emphasis. We learn about graphic accents and where to put emphasis on words that do not have a graphic accent. We get to play a little game at the end to reinforce our newly acquired skills. This lesson begins to take the mystery out of Spanish pronunciation. When we talk about accentuation, we are talking about where we put pronunciation emphasis on a word. And this is about to make a whole lot of sense in just a moment here. So this is where we are in the curriculum module map. We are still in Spanish letters and sounds in the pronunciation area of the map. Okay, we have prerequisites. You need to have taken the Spanish letters and sounds lesson. And we start by covering accentuation rules. Where do we put pronunciation emphasis on a Spanish word? Okay, let's review the vowels. Pronounce these with me. The accent doesn't change the sound of the vowel. So this is going to be a, e, o, u. In Spanish, only vowels can have graphic accent marks, unlike French or other languages, okay? Only vowels, and there's only one type of accent, so you're looking at it right now, okay? The accent does not change the sound of the vowel. It just emphasizes the syllable, okay? And there is a maximum of one accent per word. Maximum. There is no minimum. A lot of words don't have an accent mark, and we're going to talk about how we handle those. Okay, let's look at why graphic accent marks are important. Okay, so that sounds ya, llamé. Notice how the E has an accent mark, a graphic accent mark. So I put emphasis there. Ya llamé. And it means I already called. Now, let's do that one. And what does this sound like? Ya llame. Notice that the emphasis is not on the E. This is ya llamé, and this is ya llame. The difference may be a little subtle at this point. You're not trained to pick it up yet, so don't get frustrated. This will become very, very clear with practice, okay? And you will be able to hear the difference, and you will be able to pronounce the difference. Ya llamé, ya llame. What is the difference in meaning? Okay, let's find out. Look at that. One means I already called. The other one means hurry up and call. It's a command. So we want to make sure that we are putting pronunciation emphasis where we mean to put pronunciation emphasis. Otherwise, it changes the meaning, okay? Let's look at another example, okay? ¿Cómo? Okay? ¿Cómo is a question word. How? Without the accent, it actually sounds the same, okay? But it means something else. I eat. You would be able to tell from context which one it is. Oró, which means he prayed. Without the accent mark, it sounds oro. Listen again. Oro, oro. And it means gold. Big difference in meaning. Okay? So, now we're getting into the fun part of it. How can we determine, just by looking at a word, which syllable gets pronunciation emphasis? Okay, the first and obvious question is, does the word have a graphic accent mark? Okay, if it does, it's very easy. Pronunciation emphasis is on the accented syllable. Okay, but most words actually do not have a graphic accent mark. Well, then what do we do? How do we know? Okay, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, a little note here. All words with emphasis on the third or later syllable will have a graphic accent. Okay? But graphic accents can also appear on the last syllable, syllable number 1 or syllable number 2. All this is going to fall into place in just a moment here, okay? So, if a word does not have a graphic accent, then we know that the emphasis is going to be on the second syllable or the very last one, which is syllable number 1. Okay, that's what we're trying to determine, and that's what we're going to learn to do in this lesson. So if a word has a graphic accent, it's easy, straightforward. Emphasis is wherever the graphic accent is. If it does not have a graphic accent, then we have to ask another question. If the word ends in a vowel, we already know our vowels, a, e, I, o, u. So if the word ends in a vowel, or the letter N, or the letter S, then emphasis is placed on the second syllable from the end. We count syllables from right to left. Okay? This happens a lot in conjugation, that we have words that do not have a graphic accent and they end in a vowel or N or S. In fact, the vast majority of words in conjugation end in a vowel or N or S. Some of them have graphic accents, and so then it's easy. But if not, then we have this case. We need to learn this rule, okay? So we already know if we have a graphic accent, where to go. If we don't, this is what we need to memorize right here. We're going to have to ask ourselves, does the word end in a vowel, as is the case here, or N or S? And if it does, then it ends on the second syllable from the end. So this here is syllable number 1. This is syllable number 2. Okay, so graphic pronunciation emphasis falls on syllable number 2. So this is canto. Can is emphasized, as opposed to the other way would be canto. Do you hear it? Canto, 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 canto. This is canto, okay? Emphasis is on the red syllable. Let's do another one. Same verb, conjugation still in the present. It ends in an S. The word ends in an S, so that is still in this line. It ends in a vowel or N or S, okay? So if it does not have a graphic accent, which it doesn't, it ends in an S, then emphasis is in syllable number 2, okay? So this is going to be cantas, as opposed to cantas. We don't want to say cantas, we want to say cantas. Let's do the next one. Okay? Does it end in a vowel or N or S? Yes, this is this case. So that tells us that emphasis is on syllable number 2. This is a 3-syllable one. R-O-N is syllable number 1. Remember, we are counting from the right to the left. Syllable number 1, syllable number 2. Okay? And this is going to sound cantaron. Cantaron. As opposed to cantaron, okay, if it were on this syllable. Cantaron, you will get the hang of it. Okay, there are other words outside of conjugation that end in a vowel or N or S and do not have a graphic accent. Okay, does it end in a vowel or N or S? Yes, it does. It doesn't have a graphic accent, so emphasis is in syllable number 2. Mesa. Ends in a vowel, syllable number 2. Botella. Botella. Repeat the words with me, okay? Remember, we have to smile for the I, so we don't pronounce this word like we do in English. Marimba. Marimba. Do you hear the emphasis? Marimba. Okay, if a word does not have a graphic accent and it does not end in a vowel or N or S, then emphasis is placed on the last syllable, okay, which is syllable number 1. Okay, so look at these words, okay? They do not have a graphic accent, and they do not end in a vowel or N or S. Okay, so now we are going to put pronunciation emphasis in that syllable number 1, or the last syllable of the word, okay? So, hear it. Cantar. Okay, remember we have to pronounce each vowel. Ciudad. That has emphasis. Ciudad. Favor. Capaz. Remember the Z sounds like an S. We have to pronounce each vowel. So this does not sound like pie. Okay? Have to smile here. Piedad. Piedad. Papel. So in the rest of this lesson, we are going to get very good at doing this. And then with the homework and practice exercise, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to practice this until it naturalizes in its second nature, and then you don't have to remember the rules anymore, okay? The great majority of infinitives, meaning the verb before you change it to conjugate it, okay? It ends in AR, ER, or IR. They fall in this category here. Okay, so let's go over here and talk about, I know that sounds like such a big word, monosyllabics, meaning single syllable words, short words. What is the whole point of a graphic accent? The whole point of a graphic accent is to tell us where pronunciation emphasis goes. Which syllable has pronunciation emphasis? Okay, obviously if we have a single syllable word, emphasis can only fall on that one syllable. So why is it that some really short single syllable Spanish words have a graphic accent? What is the point? Okay, you probably have seen these words already. Tú, meaning you, okay, the subject pronoun. Él, meaning he, also a subject pronoun. Más, more. Short syllable, short words, single syllable, and they have accents. So let's find out the reason. It is to differentiate them from, only in writing, obviously, because they are pronounced exactly the same way. Okay, so to differentiate them from words with the same spelling that do not have a graphic accent, but have a different meaning. So again, in writing, when you're speaking, you would be able to tell which one is meant from context. Okay, más. With an accent, it means more. Without an accent, it means but. Again, they sound exactly the same. Let's look at 4 more. There are not that many, but they are very common actually. Tú without an accent means your, as in your car, your purse. And tú with an accent means you, as in tú comes, you eat. El without means the. El carro, the car. El with an accent means he. Él come, he eats. Me without an accent is my car, mi carro. Me with an accent means me, to me. He gave it to me. Okay. This is a very common one. If you mean yes, you put an accent on it. If you mean if, you don't put an accent on it. And there are 3 more. The preposition de without an accent, and de with an accent is a verb form of the verb dar, to give. You don't need to memorize these meanings now, okay? That's not the point for this lesson. The point for this lesson is to get comfortable with graphic accents and how they are used and what they mean. Okay, say without an accent is a pronoun, and with an accent it is a verb form of either the verb ser, to be, or the verb saber, to know. And the last one, te with an accent is ti, and without it is a pronoun. Okay, quick summary. Okay, based on the rules that we have learned so far, we are going to classify the words based on which syllable has pronunciation emphasis. We are going to have 4 categories, okay? Pronunciation emphasis is in syllable number 1. Remember, we're counting from the end of the word, from right to left. Syllable number 1, syllable number 2, syllable number 3, and then 4 or later. Okay, we need to look at a word and at a glance be able to identify which category that word falls in. Okay, they have names, they have grammatical names, which we don't need to learn. We're not looking to get a PhD in grammar here. Okay, we just need to remember, okay, if emphasis falls on syllable number 1, then it's this category. Let's look at some examples of those words. Okay, so it can be a word with a graphic accent on syllable number 1, or it can be a word without a graphic accent that does not end in a vowel or N or S. And we are going to review those rules in just a moment, okay? So let's practice pronouncing these words, okay? The red syllable is what has pronunciation emphasis. So try to get ahead of me and figure out how to pronounce it correctly, and then verify with my pronunciation. Cantar, cantaré, canté, nación. Let's look at the next category, where emphasis is on syllable number 2. Let's look at some examples. Okay. Some of them will not have an accent, and some of them will. Okay, so in all of them we put pronunciation emphasis on the red syllable, syllable number 2. Why? The ones that don't have an accent, it's the default, right? It ends in a vowel or N or S. In this one, it has an accent, so we don't question anything. It doesn't matter what it ends in. If it has an accent there, then that's where pronunciation emphasis goes. Okay, so I want you to look at the word, try to figure out on your own how to say it, where to put pronunciation emphasis, and then verify that with my pronunciation. Here we go. Empezaste. Remember to smile here. Terrible. Cantaremos. Difícil. Let's move on to the next category. Okay, these are going to have pronunciation emphasis on the 3rd syllable. What do we know about these words? Every one of them will have an accent mark, a graphic accent, because every word that has pronunciation emphasis on the 3rd syllable or 4th or 5th or 6th has to have a graphic accent. Okay, the question, it's only a question with the 1st and the 2nd syllable when there is no accent. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at examples. Notice every one of them has a graphic accent on the 3rd syllable. 3rd from the right. Okay, again, try to pronounce it and then verify with my pronunciation. Brújula. Político. Dámelos. Recomendábamos. Did you hear the pronunciation emphasis there? Una vez más, one more time. Recomendábamos. And then the last category is going to include all the words that have pronunciation emphasis in the 4th or the 5th or the 6th syllable, however whatever it is, anything after 4. Notice again, they all have graphic accents. Okay, let's try to read them. These are long words, okay? So just relax, do your best to figure it out. Cántasela. Cántasela. Científicamente. Científicamente. Llévatelo. Problemáticamente. Okay, again, these are very long, complex words, and this is a beginning lesson. So don't get intimidated, don't get stressed out. It's not important that you learn these words. It's just to illustrate how graphic accents and pronunciation emphasis works, okay? We're going to play a little game in a moment, and it's going to get a little bit easier, okay? Okay, so we are going to assign them a PE code for pronunciation emphasis, and that's so that we don't have to learn these names, okay? So we are going to call it a PE1 if pronunciation emphasis is on syllable number 1. PE2 if it's on syllable number 2, and so on, PE3 and PE4 plus. Okay? All right, let's go do it. So, summary and review. Okay? Whenever you come to a Spanish word, we need to figure out where pronunciation emphasis is. So, the first question that you ask yourself is, does the word have a graphic accent mark? And if it does, okay, you should be saying piece of cake. Very easy. Okay, if yes, emphasis falls on that syllable, whatever syllable has the graphic accent. It could be PE1, it could be PE2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. Okay, we don't question anything. We don't need to worry about what the last letter is, what it ends in. No, just blindly follow the graphic accent if it's there. But most of them don't have a graphic accent, so let's figure out what we do if the answer is no. Then we have to ask ourselves this question that we have to remember, okay? Practice this question. Does the word end in a vowel or N or S? We must memorize this. If it ends in a vowel or N or S, do you remember which syllable has pronunciation emphasis? It would be syllable number 2. Okay? So that would be a PE2 word. And if it does not end in a vowel or N or S, then emphasis falls on the last syllable or syllable number 1. Okay? So if you want, you can take screenshot of this, or you can take a picture with your cell phone. And if you're going to be doing the tarea, the homework assignment, the practice, this is all in there. There's a screenshot of this in the homework and practice exercise. Okay, so we are going to practice here. Okay, these are our choices. Okay, I am going to present you with a word. It will already be separated into syllables. You're going to look at it. This is to practice the process by which we determine where pronunciation emphasis is. So the previous slide is what you're going to have to do in your mind, right? You look at the word. First thing you do is determine if it has a graphic accent, count your syllables and say, aha, that is a PE2, and whatever it is. And then you attempt to pronounce it. Okay? You ready? Here we go. Does it have a graphic accent? No. So then we have to ask ourselves the question. Remember the magic question? Does it end in a vowel or N or S? The answer is no again. And when the answer is no to both of them, then emphasis is on syllable number 1 from the right. So you're going to say this is a PE1. Okay? And so now we practice pronouncing the word. romper. Long vowels and emphasis on the red syllable. Number 1, romper. Okay, let's do another one. What's the first question? Does it have a graphic accent? Answer is no. Okay, what is the next question? Does it end in a vowel or N or S? Okay, you're seeing the pattern, you're seeing the process, right? We always ask ourselves that question. Now, obviously, it's going to get a lot faster. In fact, it's going to get a lot faster by the end of this slide. And then after you do the homework and practice exercise, it will really fully naturalize to the point that it becomes second nature. Okay, so right now, you do have to remember the rules. But if we do this right, if you follow the steps, it will become second nature and you won't have to be juggling your rules in your mind, okay? So this is a PE1 again, okay? So now, how are we going to pronounce it? With long vowels and emphasis on syllable number 1. Arreglar. What's the first question? Does it have a graphic accent? And alas, it does. Okay, do we need to ask anything else? No. So we just count our syllables. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be a PE3, meaning it has pronunciation emphasis on syllable number 3. Now let's figure out how we're going to pronounce it with a beautiful Spanish accent. Okay, long vowels and emphasis on da, dámelo, dámelo. Excelente. Continuamos. We continue. Okay, longer word. Okay, it's not important that we learn what it means, right? We are just learning the process for pronunciation emphasis. Does it have a graphic accent? No. Does it end in a vowel or N or S? Yes. So right away we know it is a PE2. Okay. Desconocemos. Desconocemos. Question number 1. Does it have a graphic accent? Yes. Okay. So it's on syllable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It falls in PE4+ category. And how are we going to pronounce it? Again, I keep harping on the long, strong vowels because we want a perfect Spanish accent from the very beginning. Good habits here. Listen. Únicamente. Únicamente. No graphic accent. Ends in a vowel or N or S. Ends in an N. Okay, so this is going to be PE2. Okay, from the previous lesson, we know that GI sounds he. We have 2 vowels next to each other. We have to pronounce each one of them. So that syllable is going to be hie. So the whole word is escogieron. Escogieron. Graphic accent. PE1. Calderón. Notice when we pluralize it, it loses its accent because it's no longer needed. Now it ends in an S. So it's automatically syllable number 2, which is exactly where it was for the singular noun. Okay, PE2. Calderones. Longer word, not to be intimidated. We know how to do this. We don't need to know what it means. Okay, even if we have never seen the word before, we are now capable of pronouncing it perfectly in Spanish. This ends in a vowel, so this is PE2. Naturaleza. Pronounce it long like I do. Naturaleza. Okay, what do we have here? No graphic accent. Does it end in a vowel or N or S? No. So therefore, it is PE1, emphasis on syllable number 1. Okay, again, we have two vowels next to each other. We have to say each one of them independently. And what is GE? That's G. Genial. Genial. Okay, I'm not going to walk you through it now. You should know which questions to ask in what order. And hopefully you came up with the answer PE1. Descomponer. Descomponer. If you stretch the words out and you pronounce them slowly like that, it's almost impossible to mess it up. Okay, graphic accent. So wherever the accent is, that is where emphasis goes. PE1. We have to smile for the eyes. And closed O. Condición. Condición. Smile. This is not in, it's in. Incapaz. Incapaz. PE2. Remember, no Z sound in Spanish, just like an S. Zapatos. Zapatos. We've seen this one before. Hopefully we remember. PE2. Mesa. Mesa. Okay. Graphic accent. PE2. No Z. Zapatería. Say it slowly like I do. Let me hold your hand. Zapatería. Graphic accent. PE1. Camarón. Camarón. You should feel your lungs making more of an effort for that syllable with pronunciation emphasis, because we have to push more air out to give it emphasis. And again, this one loses its accent, the graphic accent, when we pluralize it, because now it has an extra syllable and by default it falls there. So no graphic accent, ends in a vowel or N or S. That is a PE2. Camarones. Camarones. Long word, but we are not intimidated anymore. No, sir, because we know the rules. The process is starting to naturalize. Question number 1, does it have a graphic accent? No. Question number 2 then is, does it end in a vowel or N or S? No. Therefore, it is PE1. Okay? We have to smile for the I. Generosidad. Say it as slowly as I do. Okay? Generosidad. Graphic accent. PE1. Cortés. Notice when there's a graphic accent, no questions, and that doesn't matter what it ends in. Okay? Emphasis just blindly falls wherever the graphic accent is. Okay? This is exactly the same spelling as the English word. Don't fall for it, okay? We are not speaking English. We don't want to speak Spanish in English. We are going to pronounce this word using the rules that we have learned for Spanish, correct Spanish pronunciation. Okay? This is a PE1. Natural. Natural. Okay, Hopefully you started to feel a little bit more comfortable with it. It seems like a lot of rules and you have to juggle them and all that. But after you do a few, you fall into the pattern and then it becomes easier and easier. Okay? Special characters on your keyboard, right? If you're using Windows, this works sometimes, but it is so dependent on the version of your operating system. So you're just going to have to Google it or ask ChatGPT how to generate the special characters with the accents. Okay. A couple of words about punctuation. Okay. So in English, we say hello and put an exclamation mark at the end. In Spanish, we need an opening question mark. Notice how it's upside down from what we're used to in the English, okay? So you will see this when you start reading your books. Same thing with the question mark. ¿Cómo estás? Everybody's used to saying that. In English, we only use the question mark at the end. In Spanish, and there's a reason for that, which we will learn later, okay? But we need an opening question mark as well. And we are ready to do our tarea, homework and practice exercises. That is where we're going to have an opportunity to review the lesson, okay, with screenshots that we took directly from the slides of the lesson. You're going to see them in the homework and practice exercise, and you're going to have a ton of exercises with which to practice the rules that you just learned, and you will feel it right away. It's going to start to naturalize, meaning to feel like second nature, so that you don't have to think about the rules. You'll just be able to look at a word and you will just magically know how to pronounce it. Where do we find this tarea? It is in volume 1 of the books. It is in the section called Spanish Letters and Sounds, and it is called Accentuation. It has a homework ID, SLSACC. You can take screenshot of this or take a picture with your phone to make sure that you are doing the right tarea. It is 8 pages. Let's see if we can see a few. If you don't have it, okay, this is the QR code to go get it. And we are having a promotion with the discount code FMYouTube for Final Mile YouTube. You can get a 10% discount. So if you're going to go buy it now, make sure that you enter that code so that you can get the discount. And let's have a look at some of the pages, okay? So here we go. You see that you are reminded in the homework and practice exercise, which is in paper and pencil there, okay? It's all in print. You will have an opportunity to review the rules that you learned in the lesson. And this is the type of exercise that you're going to be doing, okay? You're going to be identifying the word as a PE 1, 2, 3, or 4 plus. You are going to take a highlighter or a pencil and circle the syllable that has pronunciation emphasis, and you are going to pronounce the words. Again, the translations are provided so that there isn't a distraction. We don't want you wondering, what in the world does this mean? But it's not intended to be a vocabulary building exercise, even though it does have that side benefit, right? The point is that you learn how to pronounce Spanish words correctly. Okay, here's another page there, and we're back to the code. And this is the end. Thank you so much. I hope you liked the lesson. The homework and practice exercises provide several lists of words already separated into syllables for you to practice and naturalize the rules you just learned. Don't worry, you won't have to go through life juggling rules in your mind. With practice, the process becomes second nature. This is what we call naturalization, and that's why practice is so important. And remember, you always learn more when you watch the lesson a second time.